Hey guys, welcome back to the Holland Project. Got a fun one coming up. I don't know if you guys saw the little Facebook picture, or post I should say, but you should have, because you should follow us on the Facebook and then you would see it. But anyway, this little Camino here, as most of you probably know, this little baby 305, they don't make much power. Kind of boring. Runs great, drives great, doesn't make any power, and takes a little bit of the fun out of it. So we decided to give her an upgrade with this. This here is a 355, and I bought it off of a feller that had it in a 79 C10. Him and his dad built this engine together back in early 2000s, late 90s. And from what he's told me about it, it's a ripper. I believe he said it made 372 horsepower on the dyno at the rear tire. Take 20% away, well, add 20% to that, I guess, if you want flywheel numbers, but you can do the math. I'm not gonna. It's got this nice, I think this is like a Super Victory intake. Can't remember what they're called. It's been ported. You can see that. It has Chevy Vortec heads on it that have also been ported and milled. It has, didn't know the cam specs, but he said this thing would run, it would pull pretty good up to 68 to 7,000 RPM. So it's kind of a higher revving engine. What else? It's got Scorpion 1.6 roller rockers on it. Yeah, and it came with this 6AL MSD, the coil, and the distributor to go with it. And I also paid a little extra for this 750 double pumper Holly with the fuel log on it. This is all obviously was together. It's gonna get mated up and thrown in the El Camino. We also got a power steering pump and line and a box full of other brackets and bolts, stuff like that. He ended up doing an LS swap in his truck, put a 6-liter in it with a nice cam, and actually just ran into him yesterday at a car show. He threw the truck in the burnout contest. It was pretty sweet to watch. So anyway, as they say, out with the old, in with the new. However, there's a caveat to this motor. It is said to have a broken piston skirt, and the threads in the end of the crank snout are a little boogered up. So there are some things to address with this engine. So we're gonna have to pull the intake and one of the heads, whichever side the broken piston skirt's on. We need to check that cylinder, make sure it didn't get egg-shaped or anything. He didn't even know that it had a broken piston skirt in it. Took it in for a new oil pan, so he didn't have to lay it on his back in the garage and put an oil pan on it. And they found a couple little pieces of aluminum in the pan. So how bad it is, I don't really know. I took a scope and put it down the spark plug holes, looked at the cylinder walls, everything kind of looks fine. It does have a new oil pan on it. Engine's still full of oil and coolant, and when I pulled the dipstick out, the oil looks brand new. So he obviously didn't drive it after the service, getting the oil pan put on it. He said at most it might have, just a guess, maybe 100 miles on it since it broke a piston skirt, but like I said, he didn't know exactly when it happened. This build, he believes is less than 10,000 miles. on the build. Truck didn't get driven much. It's a beautiful truck. So we are going to, well, we gotta drain the oil and then make a mess by turning the engine over and pull that pan off so we can figure out what piston skirt's broken. This is a 397-0010 block. These came in 2-bolt and 4-bolt mains, and I believe it's possible it's a high nickel block. I'm not exactly sure. There's some other numbers back here. I did try to decode the pad up here, and I didn't find a ton other than this engine was built in Flint, Michigan. Oh, and it does have the MSD wires as well. So, that being said, those were just loosely put on there. Let's, I guess we'll probably drop the oil. And I cleaned out my clear container so we can dump some of the oil in that and have a look-see. And then I can cut this filter open as well. Looks like a K&N filter. Yeah, K&N oil filter. Oh, it is flat top piston engine, and he said it runs right around 11 to 1 compression, so it's a higher compression engine. Should be a good little motor. This little El Camino should scoot with it in there if I can keep the rear end together and one tire planted. So that's good. First things first, let's strip the drain plug out. Holy crap, really? Well, like I said, let's strip the socket out, or the plug out. Good Lord. Yep. Unnecessarily tight. Whoever the shop is that put this together. And looks like it's been painted. Oh boy, that would be fun to get out. Ooh. That is ridiculous. It's just a drain plug. Oh boy. Alright, well, let's get out the extractors already. Hopefully I've got one that'll fit that. Nope. This is the best way to start videos if you guys didn't know that. Such a simple thing. All you gotta do is pull a drain plug out of something. And you can't even do that. And it's a 13 millimeter, and none of these kits, they skip it. They go from 12 to 14. So that's good. Oh, God. Well, here we are. Still don't have the drain plug out. Now we're working on the outer edge of it. I don't know what's going on here, but I can't get this drain plug out. It is incredibly tight, and you can't even see a seal or anything. It's like it's all been painted over, and it's just locked in there. Oh, unbelievable. Brand new SP1i, I don't know, SPI brand. Should be ashamed of themselves. This should not be this tight. Oh, boys and girls in the YouTube world, I tell you what, this is the stuff that your everyday folks deal with. This is why I don't turn wrenches for a living anymore. Because sadly enough, when you're a mechanic and you have something like this happen, you don't get paid any of the extra time to fix stuff like this. You just eat it. Can't get a drain plug out of somebody's car. Well, too bad. You can sit there and screw with it like this for 40 minutes trying to get it out, and you're still just going to get paid for an oil change. And that's it. That's how the world works. Alright, well, we've tried about everything. I guess it's time to put the torch on it. Nope. Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna fight with this for the next hour. If I get it off, I'll bring it back and show it to you. Well, we got her. Just beat that extractor on there. Holy cow. That is unbelievable. I'd say that oil looks pretty good. It smells a little rich, but it looks okay. We'll go ahead and put the rest of her in here. Yeah, it looks really good. Nice and clean. I wonder if when they replaced the oil pan, if they took the broken pieces out. I'm not exactly sure. We'll find out when we take the pan off. I still can't believe that. Unbelievable. Oh boy, it's all in the day's work. Looks pretty good to me. You can definitely see that the pan was painted after the plug was put in it, because that gasket was painted and locked to the pan with paint. That was the whole problem. Okay, before we flip this over, I also wanted to show you the top end here real quick. Because why not? Grab this valve cover off here. Same ones I've got on the big block Impala, except for I have 1.7s on that. And I think these 1.6s actually add a little bit of lift. And I'm not, like I said, I don't know what this has for a cam. These almost act like they have a little bit of lash in them. I don't know. What do we need to do? Nothing really. Turn this thing over and dump oil or water coolant everywhere. That's exactly what's going to happen. Okay. And let's go this way with it. Well, we didn't lose a ton of coolant. That's shocking. Okay. Now for our next magic trick, let's take this pan off. What do you guys think? Are the parts of the piston skirt still in the block somewhere in here? Or did they take all that out when they replaced the pan? I bet they took it all out. Lots of silicone on it though. Come on, baby. There she goes. Yeah, there's a couple little pieces in here. Yeah, see right there? I don't know if you can see them. Hold on a second. Oh, that's not. That piece is. A little piece of aluminum. Not very big. Pretty small. A couple more little pieces. Well, let's see. What do we got? Oh, we got a 4-bolt main. 1, 2, 3, 4. How about that? 4-bolt main. This be a nice little engine. So which piston skirt's broke? God, this thing is clean as a whistle. Oh, right here. I don't know if you can see that very well. If you look up on that side, it's kind of full of oil. Yep, there's our broken skirt. Cylinder number, it's upside down. 7. Everybody else looks okay. Let me, well, that skirt's pretty much all the way at the bottom. Try to soak up some of that oil that's sitting in the dish. Or up in the skirt, I mean. I'm gonna get some oil out of there and we'll take another closer look at it. Okay. There you can see it. There's our piston skirt. She done broke. That's the only one that I see so far though that's broke. It's just that bottom side. Everybody else looks pretty happy. Yep. He's happy. That guy's happy. These two are happy. But let's spin her over. And have a little extra look-see. Whoa. Yeah, I don't see anybody else with any damage. Here, you can kind of see it a little better with it down farther. Yep, there you go. Let's have a look at that cylinder wall though. Let me raise it, take it around again, and we'll look at that cylinder wall. She's pretty much all the way down now. Found a little chunk of aluminum in the screen for the oil pickup. Well, from what I can see, it doesn't look bad. It's hard to get you guys and the light both in there. We'll know more, obviously, when we take that piston out, pop the head off. Maybe the tiniest bit of scoring. Not much, though. I think that'd be fine. The cylinders all look pretty good. I wish I could get a number off the cam. Looks like it's got some pretty high lift. And it's definitely a flat tappet cam. Got some pretty high lift lobes, though it looks like, just from the eyeball. Well, one piston, that's what we need. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can show this to you guys, but might be hard. I'm looking at the side of the rod. Maybe. Twist my camera a little bit. I don't know if you can see that, because it's hard to see. Might be able to see it right there. Eagle. Those are eagle rods. Yep, there he is. A little eagle on it. It says eagle right above him. Eagle ES maybe? I don't know. Hard to read with a camera. But yeah, it's got eagle rods in it. Eagle rods and SPI sealed power pistons. I was able to look through a spark plug hole and see what pistons are in it. And I don't know what cam, like I said, but nice little build. Real happy with that. Now we just got to get a piston ordered. Okay, let's spin this thing back over. She's heavy. Oh. I lied. Cylinder number 8. Cylinder number 8 is our problem child. So let's take this valve cover off. Take that baby off of there. Pretty clean. Well, I guess let's take the intake off. And then we'll get to work on taking the head off. Not very tight. I wonder if it was, maybe if it was sucking a little bit of air. I don't know, I said it ran pretty good. Definitely wasn't very tight. Lots of the silicone. Might be good enough to get it off. There she is. Lifter valley's nice and clean. Oil pump down there. I forgot to look at that to see if it was a melling or anything. If these heads are reported, they did a hell of a nice job on them. Sometimes I tell you what, the magnet on this camera is more annoying than it is anything else. Okay. They've definitely been ported. They did a nice job on them. You can see the minor imperfect. Look at how thin that wall is. It does have upgraded valves in these heads. They're larger valves, which we'll see here when we pull this head off over on this side. So let's do that. Let me grab an Allen and a 9/16, and we'll get a towel laid out over here. We'll put that intake down and we'll lay them all out so we know where they came off of. I don't like using an Allen wrench on these. I'd rather have a socket on a wrench, but I don't have one down here. Okay, everybody's accounted for. I did write the pattern down wrong over there because I wasn't paying attention, but we got her rectified, corrected, if you will. So now we're going to use our extremely crappy broken tooth ratchet and start taking some head bolts out. I always start in the middle here and work my way outward. We're actually going to rotate this up a bit. Something about like so. Don't you just love how these bolts smell when you take them out? They stink terribly. Oh yeah. I was gonna say she might be a little stuck. There we go. It don't look that bad to me. We'll spin her around though and have a double check. Yeah, I think that's gonna be just fine. Very minimal. Very, very minimal. I think a quick hone would clean that up. Yeah, everybody looks all right. I think she'll be just fine. Should we pull a lifter out? Yep, just flat tap it. Look pretty good. They look new. Beautiful. Okay. Well, there's that anyway. Anyhow, I'm gonna clean up one of these piston tops so we can get some numbers off it. Then we gotta order some stuff. H345 NP030, board 30 over, think these are sealed performance pistons. Give her one more quick little wipe. Yep. H345 Nancy Paul 030. Don't need the 030. That's just telling you that they're 30 thousandths over. All right, well, there she is, all pulled apart, heads off. I think a quick hone and a new piston, and we should be on the right track. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Ooh. Wonder if this has got a double roller timing chain in it. It's hard to see. Yes. Yes, indeed. Double roller timing chain. It's a nice little engine. It really is. Cam looks great. All right. We'll see when we continue on. Okay, well, we're back. It's the next day, and we do have some questions to answer before we can order pistons. Didn't think about this last night. I should have. However, we need to figure out if this block has been decked first. We also need to figure out what the compression height is on the pistons that are in here, because I can't order one of these pistons. They're discontinued or something. I can't find one individual. I can't even find a set of them, to be honest with you. So we have to figure out what exactly we need. We know that the stroke is, I think it's a 3.480. We know that they're 30 over piston because of this. If you can see that, it says 0.030. We know that based on searching this H345NP, we know that there's different specs between like different brands, like Federal Mogul. I can't remember the other. There's a Summit brand that's really similar, that have the 4 valve reliefs in them, being a flat top. So basically what we need to do, we need to straight edge across here, and then we need to put feeler gauges under our straight edge and see what the distance from the crown of the piston to the bottom of our straight edge is. And that'll give us a number, and from that number we can figure out if this block has been decked or not. I don't know if it's been decked. I tried kind of cleaning up a little bit of this to see what the mating surface looks like, to compare it to what a factory block would look like. So yeah, we need to figure out, we have two options. We have either 1.540 or 1.560. So we need to figure out which piston we need in order to order the parts that we need, the correct parts. So let's get this cleaned up, make sure we have two good clean surfaces. I don't have any carb cleaner, but I have a bottle of this. So we're gonna use some of this and just kind of put it on a rag and see if we can get some of this cleaned up. We might have to tilt the engine back up and soak it for a minute, which is probably what we're gonna do. Let's tip this back up so that it's kind of flat. Kind of like so. Let's drop our bar, make sure that falls to the floor. And let's pour a little bit of this on here. And we'll let it soak. This will also tell us how well the old Berryman works. So that can soak for a minute like that. I gotta grab a rag better than one of these blue shop cloths because, as you can see, these things just tear apart. They're garbage. Well, they're not gonna work for what we need to do. So, oh, there's a microfiber back here. I knew I had one floating around in here somewhere. Oh, there's two of them. Look at that. We got a blue. We got a yellow. Ooh, we got a third one. We got a gray. So anyway, that's been soaking for what, 30 seconds or so? Well, it definitely removes carbon. We just need to make sure that this is as clean as we can get it so we get an accurate reading with our feeler gauges. And I don't typically like to use a wire wheel or anything like that on piston tops. Put a little bit more on there. Let her soak. I know the Berryman aerosol carb cleaner works really nice, and then they have another product like this that's got like a long thin hose that you put in your intake boot and do you can do like a valve cleaning and intake cleaning. We used to do that at the dealership. We used this stuff called 44K. It was a BG product. I don't know if any of you fellers out there have ever used that or heard of it, but that stuff worked really good. We really just want to make sure the crown here is good and clean because that's where the measurement needs to come from. Of course, before we put this together, we'll clean up all these pistons. I'll actually go get some carb cleaner, some of the Berryman good stuff, and we'll get everything nice and clean. This obviously is signifying that this piston needs to face the front of the engine. Every one of them has that dot. Sometimes they have an arrow, sometimes they have a dot. Just depends on the piston manufacturer what they use. That's pretty good. That's pretty good there. So the only thing I could find today in my travels for a straight edge, hopefully this is pretty good for a straight edge anyway. Basically what we're gonna do is set her like so, and we're gonna measure, you can see light through it. We're gonna measure the center between the valve reliefs, the crown right there, to the bottom of this straight edge. So we're gonna start out with, what have we got, 28 thousandths. Actually, we might need to I wish I had angled ones. I need to get angled ones. So you just want to be like an inch or so off the side here. And that actually fits, but it's pretty tight. Let's try it from this way. 28 thousandths. There's a couple typical measurements. 28 thousandths is one of them for a good starting point. I think the other one's like 40 thousandths, 45 thousandths, something like that. And that will typically give you what you need. Yeah, 40. So this guy actually did a pretty good write-up in on Hot Rodder's website. And what it's telling you is bring any cylinder to top dead center. Obviously that piston's got to be at the full height of its travel. and then do exactly what we just did. And he says here, if it's a virgin block, never been decked, and the pistons are a 1.540, you would expect to find a piston deck height of around 45 thousandths. With a conventional thickness head gasket of 40 thousandths, the squish, or lack of squish, with this arrangement would be 85 thousandths. If the piston deck height plays out around 25 thousandths, then the block is virgin and the piston is a 1.560. So based on what we just seen, thought I just heard somebody pull in. Based on what we just seen, we would have a non-decked block with a 1.560 compression height piston. But to be sure, let's grab our feeler gauge here and let's change it to 45 thousandths. Yeah, this poor thing's getting old. I know. So if we did, that's our 25. And 20, we could take those and put them together. Let me just take them out of here. That'd be easier. I'm gonna take them out, we'll be right back. All right, we've got our two feeler gauges together to make 45 thousandths because the feeler gauge set doesn't go that high. And those don't fit. Too much, too thick. So we know that it's not 45 thousandths, we know it's less than that. Let's go back to our 28. And that fits with just a little bit of drag. Let's go from this side. Just the littlest bit of drag on that. So I would say that's a pretty good indicator that we have 1.560 compression height pistons. So that answers that question. Now we can order pistons or a piston, or if need be, a whole set of pistons, and we know that that compression height is going to work with what we've got because we know these heads are milled. So we got to be really careful about that, or we're going to have piston to valve interference and we're going to destroy everything. Let me roll these heads on this head up here. We know that we had a couple cylinders that weren't happy, as you can see here, and a little bit there. So we need to figure out what that may have been, and what I'm wondering is if that intake being loose would have been part of that cause of that. Also, we can try to look to see if there was any issues with the head gasket, which I'm not technically seeing, but you can see the top of this here is still pretty clean. This guy here wasn't very happy, if you can see him. So the other thing we need to measure is our head gasket thickness, because if we don't intend on pulling the other head, then we need to get a head gasket that matches this one, and that is actually a pretty thin head gasket. They were definitely going for compression. I probably bent that right there, pulling the head up. Felpro metal gasket. Let's bring this over here. We'll turn this guy on and zero him. Not very thick at all. So now we know. Oh, let me pick a few things up here. I knocked things all over the place. Now we need to order pistons, head gaskets, intake gaskets. And speaking of intake gaskets, I don't know, I might have screwed this up pulling it, but let's have a look at this. Just wanted to look for any potential indication of a leak. I don't see anything super obvious. But there could have been a lot of things, you know, with those pistons. Could have been a really poorly tuned carburetor. Could have been intake leaking. It could have been timing too far advanced. So quite a few things. But anyway, we're gonna do a little cleanup work here, and then we need to look at the crank snout and see what kind of shape that baby's in. We need to have a look at our situation down here. This isn't tight. Jeepers. That's enough. So you can see, maybe, this either has aluminum in the threads or these threads have been flattened. And I would be willing to bet somebody tried pulling this harmonic balancer in with the bolt instead of putting the proper tool on it. Yeah, almost guarantee it. So let me take this stuff off. I believe I have a balancer puller down here. If I'm lucky. Yep, right there. We'll take this guy off here. And that'll give us access to the balancer, which we've got the puller set right here. You know, the proper way to do these things without destroying threads in the end of the crank. Those are fine threads, so they're probably these. Yes, indeedly do. So we'll get this guy set up. Let the dog throw a fit, everybody. There's a bike trail across the street over there. People walk dogs down it. Apparently she has to say hi to all of them. Try to get these as even as you can so you're pulling straight. I just kind of eyeball count the threads. All right, got that on there. We'll use the old Texas speed wrench here. Okay, fine, I'll put the right thing on it. Might as well, we're already here, right? So I'm gonna back hold on the flywheel. If it quit falling off. Holy cow, that baby is on there. Oh, there she goes. Found our broken threads. If you guys don't have one of these tools that you can put on the flywheel, they're really handy to use. Under the car, if you take the inspection cover off, you can put one of these on the flywheel and not have to worry about tearing the threads out of your crank bolt. Makes sense, right? You are long-winded. I'll quick show you if you've never seen one of these. Looks like this. You hook a tooth in it, and then this back portion flexes so that you're pulling on that tooth up there. Really handy. Really handy. Okay, there's that. Our keyway is in here, so that's good. And you guys probably can't see, but there are some threads until you get to the middle, and then there's no threads. And then when you get down into the hole, there's threads again. Crappy part is, I don't have, my tap set is not one that can thread all the way to the bottom, but it looks like, oh no, those threads are gone but in there. Not as lucky as I thought we were. Grab a light here. It's hard to tell. They're not great at all. Run her back out. I don't know if we're gonna get lucky with this endeavor or not. If we don't, we're gonna have to drill out that crank snout and re-tap it to a bigger size. Well, those threads look a hell of a lot better. So 7/16 by 20, let's find our tap. That bolt started, so we should be able to start this in the original threads. Yeah, there we go. And it's going in pretty easy. I don't think there's enough in there to cut threads and get the correct amount of torque on everything. And that bottomed out. So that's all the way through, or all the way in anyway. I just don't think there's enough there. I don't think so. I don't think so, folks. Yeah, that's pretty sloppy. Pretty sloppy. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. So we're gonna have to get the crank fixed. Yeah, there ain't nothing in there. Well, shit the bed, Fred. That answers that question. I don't know if I trust myself doing that. I don't know if I could drill a straight enough hole. Oh boy. Ah, well, all right. Okay, quick update. I had a buddy swing over and help me real quick identify whether or not this block's been milled. We believe it has not been. And the reason I say that is because you can still see the numbers up here on the pad. And when I was talking about having a second set here, typically that's the VIN number. Well, thinking about it further, this block is said to be out of a combine. So that would make sense why there's no other numbers on the pad, because there was no VIN number attached to it. Like, you know, for in a car or whatever, or a truck. So I don't think the block's been milled. We did knock this piston out quick. There's a little bit of scraping on the cylinder wall. You can't feel it with a nail. Barely. I mean, it's just barely there. You could probably throw a hone down it and it'd be okay. As far as the piston goes, well, I don't know which happened, but it got dropped on one of these pig mats coming out, which was only a foot or two, and this fell apart. So I don't know if it broke when the piston got dropped or if it was broke in the cylinder. But judging by the valve on this cylinder, it's possible, I guess it could have been broke. And it was also burning a little, using a little oil. So it's possible that it broke. Don't know for sure. The bearings look absolutely phenomenal. No issue with those at all. Wrist pin's nice and loose. So that's good. What else? There are some numbers on the rods. They're Eagle rods. I need to look up those numbers and see what we have for rods exactly. Curiosity's sake anyway. You can see some cross hatching in the cylinder walls from certain angles. It's light, but it's there. So that's good. There was no ring ridge. That piston came right out. So I didn't need to take the ridge out or anything like that. The crank looks absolutely perfect. Nothing wrong there. And the cam and lifters all look phenomenal as well. This has a, I think it said 55 HV. I think this is a high volume oil pump. Probably a Melling, not sure. I'll take a picture of the tag. Look that up. So yeah, that's where we got tonight. We're gonna head home for the night, get some parts ordered, hopefully. Probably gonna end up having to buy a whole set of pistons. I don't know yet. Depends what I find tonight on the interweb. And I'll have to get some rings because that one broke. Just cast rings. I can measure the thickness of this, I guess. But if I can find rods that are close, I'm gonna have to get, I'll just get piston rings anyway. So I'm not super worried about that. I'll get rings to match the new pistons. So yeah, anyway, signing off for the night. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, good morning, and I made a mistake, forgot to record an ending to the video that I'm currently editing behind me. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. When I realized it, I said, oh crap, so here we are. Anyway, Due to the nature of the length of doing these builds and teardowns and figuring everything out, this is going to be broken into a couple videos. Also with ordering parts and all that stuff, everything, you know, it takes a minute to come in. So just wanted to blow in here quick and thank everybody for watching our videos, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Please click the button to subscribe. We're getting closer to 1,000. If we could hit that by the end of the year, it'd be pretty cool. So yeah, anyway, bunch of parts are on order. A bunch of stuff's going to be showing up here soon. We're going to continue on this thing and hopefully have this on the road before that S word starts to fall from the sky. So yeah, anyway, appreciate all you guys like always, and we'll see you in the next one.